This call is now being
Global
recorded.
Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Joe Perez.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
Hello?
Hello, Joe.
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. It's kind of rainy over here. Not too much, but it's cloudy and aside from that, Niners. I bet on the Niners and they won me. You know, they didn't want me nothing but $5, but it felt good to win. You know, and I needed that after my Cowboys. You know, they just lost everything. Yeah.
Man, yeah. Ooh.
But
it's about time.
yeah.
You know, we get some winning teams over here.
Yeah. You know, and once my Cowboys lose, you know, I generally go to California teams. You know, I'm not a Niners fan, but I've always appreciated them. I remember the Jerry Rice and Joe Montana days, and those are always special to me. You know, and Rams, you know, like I'll go with it. Rams got knocked out too, but if they were still in it, I will be going for them too. You know, so once my team's out, you know, it's like, you know, let's go Cali. You know.
Yeah. No, well, you gotta support somebody.
Yeah, you gotta support somebody. So you know, I hope somebody over here could take it. You know, and that's looking like the Niners.
Man, yeah. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. I know
Yeah.
today's gonna be a big day. I know a lot of people are gonna be out in the day room and watching that game.
Yeah, and you know, I'm a Josh Allen fan too. Like he's won me over, you know. So at the same time, you're rooting for all kinds of people, and then you're like, man, I hope this guy wins, or man, you know. Well, that's just me, you know. Some people they're like, screw every team. My team lost, you know. But I still find joy in cheering on others that are still trying to get that. It's hard to win a Super Bowl, man.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Let me ask
It's
you
hard
something.
to take everything home.
Let me ask you something. With sports, how big are sports in prison? How much do these gentlemen follow sports?
You know, it might be a lot, right? It might be habit though, James. It might be habit. It might be a routine, a thing you do out of habit, because it's like the brokest inmate will be like, "Hey, you want to bet?" And it's like, "What am I gonna do betting you, fool? You ain't got nothing, right?" But it's like they can't help it. They want to bet. They want to get in on the action, right? So, I mean, everybody follows sports in here, you know. And some people don't. Like some people are like, I'm not tripping. Like I can tell you this much: anytime I had a cell phone in the past, like I'll be like, "Fool, I ain't got time to bet. Like I'm in a whole nother world right now. I can't even think straight right now, right?" So in those times, I didn't care nothing about sports, television. Like it was completely out the window. But in a normal day to day, you know, people do follow sports, and some gentlemen, like my partner Devious, when I was in New Delano, you know, Devious used to follow everything, like football, basketball, baseball, and I'll be like, "What?" And he'll be like, "Soccer's on," and I'll be like, "Fool, I can't even pronounce those countries' names." And he's like, "Oh man, this guy and this guy," and I'll be like, "Fool, you should be like a jockey out there." That's all he would do. He would gamble, and that's how he would bring in the money for the month for store. So he would gamble, and he'll be like, "Well, if I gamble 10 bets and I win 7 and lose 3, then I'm winning," you know. And I'm like, well, he figured out a way to make a dollar out of it, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, some people are really into it.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I find that really interesting. You know, even though you know they're there, you know, people are, I think are they have a lot of information, you know, when it comes to sports, and you know who to put some money down on, or obviously not money because you have no money behind there, but a honey bun or some zoom zooms and some wham whams or some chili lime sopas.
Yeah, yeah. The money that's in this world, the money that's in this world, because sometimes remember I just talked about when I hung up the gloves, I went to B yard. Like the cops used to raid cells right there, and that's something they really don't do on the other side, right? But they'll go to a cell and they'll walk around and they'll be like, we got $3,000 out of that cell, and it's like all the food, all the appliances, all this and that, and I'll be like, dang, these cops get a kick out of that. But you'll never see that on the other side. Like they do run up on the cell, they do their job, but they won't take your stuff like that,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? Hey, thank you for shedding some light on that, and I definitely, don't want to keep the viewers or our supporters, in too much suspense, for you to, get on your next journey or your next chapter in this crazy journey
Okay.
that you've gone in through the CDCR. I'm gonna go hand over the mic to you, and you could go ahead and paint these ghetto Picassos in our brains.
Okay. And I'm gonna try to refresh my memory too as I go through this, because I kind of know where we left off, but I always try to do like a little recap, or I don't know if I always done it, but I know I've been doing it in the later ones, because there's stuff I forget.
Hey,
So,
and before you start,
yeah.
my apologies. We just had Righteous Monkey tapping in. He's the first person to come in here and drop a comment, and he writes tapping in, and then he also puts shout out James and Joe.
Okay, likewise, bro. Shout out to you too, and I hope everything's going well with you, your family, and all your loved ones out there.
All right, and it's all you now. This time for reals.
Okay. And to recap, guys, I think I just went to board and got the denial, right? And we'll recap real quick. So in 2006, 7, 8, and 9, I was in the SAP in New Delano, and it was the first one on a 180, and I spent 38 months of my life there, right? They were trying to install good things in me, and I thought it was BS, and in the future, I could see some of these things coming back to my life, and I remembered the words, the names, and I started applying them, but only in the future, like 2010, 11, 12, and in 2012, SB9 was going to pass, and that I had knowledge of that. And then it came into effect 2013. 2013, SB260 was racing through the Senate, and as much as I thought it wasn't going to pass, it passed. And I had knowledge of that, So now I got a reason, I got hope, I got this new light, because prior to that, I think I'm going to die in prison. So when that happened, I didn't know how, I didn't know where, but I knew everybody was like, we're coming home now. We're coming home now. And a lot of people, it takes more time for some than others. I think I was one of the fast ones when that law came into effect, that I was like, I'm all in. But saying you're all in doesn't make you automatically know the things you need to do to be all in, right? You don't have knowledge. You just know, like, well, I'm all in. So when Scott and them come to visit and they say about the cell phones, I get rid of it because I really am all in, right? So the knowledge they gave me, I used it, I applied it immediately, right? And at the same time, I was going through AA courses, and I thought I wasn't getting nothing out of it because, we were in Calipat, and it's all kinds of criminal activity going on as we're in the group, So I'm like, man, this is all phony baloney. Like, I'm just thinking in my head, like, this ain't really real, But I'm still going to the group, and I go 18 months in that group. I did the Kairos for over a year. I did other church programs, and these things I'm trying to go get into this stuff because I know I'm going to go home someday, and I don't want to ever come back to prison. And I know, not everybody walked my path. Not everybody has murdered somebody, So I know I'm extreme, And
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
I don't even know the word extreme in science books about a person like me, right? But I know I am not normal when it comes to that aspect. I know that much. And here's another thing that happened in 2014, guys. When I realized like I'm gonna come home one day, keep in mind my thought process up to this point, right? I used to not look at Angel as a victim. I used to look at myself as a victim. I used to be saying like, oh, if only this was this. I said this for years, guys, maybe decades. I said, if if my stupid this stupid CI like the ex homie, if he didn't tell on me, I would have never came to jail. And you know, as a cellmate, the cellmate's agreeing with you, like, yeah, man, stupid fool, you would have never been busted, you would have never. And I'm like, yeah, I would have never came to prison, bro. If he didn't open his mouth, if he didn't say this, if he didn't, right? So I'm blaming him all these years. And I say this because in 2014, now I'm coming home, and I know I'm coming home. So without self-help, like direct questions, because this is a big one. I know a lot of inmates feel like I felt, and I used to always be like, man, if I could ever get him, I'm gonna get him. You know, I used to always think like that. And in 2014, with nobody posing the question to me, with nobody asking like, are these issues resolved? You know, I came to the conclusion that I'm gonna come home, and what if I see this guy out there? Right? So I'm telling myself this in my head. I'm not even sharing it with a cellmate. I'm like thinking of it. And you know, for the first time in my life, I started thinking about it hard, but for the first time in my life with this individual, I forgive him. You know? And that was a hard pill to swallow because up until that point, he's always been like you betrayed me, bro. Like, how could you do that to me? You know, like you could have been in jail with me the whole time if I was a weaker individual at that time. If I would have said things right, like you could have been here with me. How could you do me like that? That was my whole playing the victim stance on that specific subject, right? On a lot of specific subjects, but especially this one. And in 2014, I came to the terms with he didn't do nothing wrong. You know, you did it. He didn't make you do anything. You did it. Now all he did was have knowledge of what happened. So in 2014, this was big for me. I forgave this individual in my heart. And I played the like I will pretend like if you see him, what do you do? And it turned from if you see him, don't do nothing and be sneaky and double back. And just, you know, and it turned into a bunch of criminal thinking, and then that turned into, no, you don't double back on him. If you see him, you don't be sneaky. If you see him, you know, you could do a couple of things, pretend you didn't see him, you know, but the most important thing I'm trying to say is, I won't do nothing to this individual. And I came to those terms in 2014. I came to those terms like, it is what it is, and you can't put nobody ahead of you in life. You can't hold that and end up back in prison because you held that. And that was something that was big, and I didn't mention it, but I'm mentioning it now. That was something big I did in 2014. And no doubt that these programs that I was taking, that I think I'm not getting nothing out of it, you know, somehow, some way, they were working. I was taking bits and pieces out of all of them. And in 2015, that's when I seen the consultation commissioner. He told me, you ain't got nothing. You ain't got no high school diploma. You ain't got no college. And I got all that. Got a high school diploma. I got an AA degree. I paid off my restitution, which I was avoiding for years. And I'm taking all these programs, guys. I took the Victims Impact, the GOGI. I took the LTOP SAP, the Life Support Alliance, the Poetic Justice, the Creative Writing.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
The meditation, the Kit Kat, the AVP, which was huge to me. And then I hang up the gloves right there, guys, and I leave. And there's something else I didn't say. You know, me and Angel, I feel like I'm more connected to her than other people, to the people they have harmed, because me and Angel were born on the same day. Me and Angel were born the same year. So that was, I feel it. I feel that. Yeah, no. In 2000, I'm gonna call James for this one because I want his Google fingers to Google something real quick.
All right, so his 15 minutes were up, so he should be calling us back shortly. And man, I hear it every time that he gets on these calls. All the pain, and he took somebody's life, and he has to deal with that for the rest of his life, just like the victim's family also. They're victims also. They got to deal with their loved one being taken away for no real reason. Very unfortunate. So right now when he calls back, I know he said he wanted me to Google something. I'll go ahead and pull that up. And I appreciate you guys that are tuning in today. It's gonna be a jam-packed day. I'm gonna have back-to-back calls with all the individuals that are normally on here.
This call is now being recorded. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Joe Perez.
Un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello, Joe.
James?
Yeah, I'm on here.
Yeah, can you Google when did Kobe Bryant pass away?
I'll look it up right now. I'm on it.
Okay. And while he's looking that up, guys, as I'm moving, getting deeper in rehabilitation and getting deeper in these groups, right? Because me and Angel are so connected.
I got it.
Every birthday and every Christmas, I feel those, because I know a day I get older, she should have got older. James, what is the day that Kobe Bryant passed?
January 26, 2020.
Okay. Ooh, it's hard. Okay. That's the day she passed. That's when I murdered her. So, on that day, when Kobe passes away, there's a guy from Pacoima, and this is after I hung up the gloves and I'm on B yard in High Desert. And Pacoima, he dies that morning, right? And when he dies, a couple of things happen, right? Like, I see the cops laughing, and that's not abnormal of them, right? They're standing around, they're telling jokes, and this guy's out, and the paramedics are trying to revive him. And then I think, damn, that's cold-hearted. These fools are just laughing. I'm in the cell, and I'm getting anger right here, right? And in my mind, I snapped out of it, and I'm like, well, they used to laugh when you were out there too, chilling, right? When you were on the line. And then it dawns on me that we used to laugh too. And no one's laughing at the inmate that passed away, but they're just laughing in the presence of him passing away, talking about jokes on the side, talking about Niner games and this and that, and who did this. So while the person is dying or dead, there's always people around him. So then I think, okay, so I lighten up on them because I'm like, okay, well, we did it too. But I never seen it from that aspect, right? Now, back to this day, you know, he passes away in the morning time. So we go to yard, and when we go to yard, I just remember being at yard, and everyone's like, oh, Kobe died. And in my mind, I'm thinking everyone's joking. And a lot of us thought everyone was joking because I'm like, oh, they, you know, in prison guys sometimes will say rumor control, or we'll be like, hey, let's start the rumor. Let's start this. Let's start, right? So this is one of those days they're saying he passed away, and I don't believe it because I'm like, oh, 10 fools got together in the day room, and they said, we're going to say this at yard and see who believes it. And then when I go back in, I see that indeed Kobe Bryant had passed away, you know? And because the news is on and all this, and then the date is on the news, then I think of Angel. Because then I'm like, oh man, it's that day, you know? And I knew that date was coming up because every year it comes up. I remember. But you know, maybe Pacoima made me forget. Maybe him passing away, maybe it drew my mind away. But anyways, the more of the story is I feel super connected to Angel. You know? We're the same age, everything. So I'll fast forward, and I think I was I passed up the COVID stages and what we went through in COVID in here. And then I went to my first board, and I thought I was going home, and it didn't work out that way. Now, one of the things they had, one of the things that the board was stuck on was like, why didn't you ever leave? And at the time I thought I was answering them great, you know? I was like, I get you in here and you telling me why I never left, but where's that in real life? Like, when we come to prison, and keep in mind, it used to be 5% when I came to jail. And it was gradually climbing the whole time. But I'm explaining to him, like, the COs don't tell you to leave. If anything, they're in the river with us. Stay here. The counselors don't tell you to leave. When I went to leave, the sergeant's trying to keep me, like, hey, guy, you really don't want to go over there. Like, man, you did all this time. Think about this. This is the big step. Like, you know, people don't make it. People don't last as long as you know? And I'm like, the whole design is to like, no one encourages that, you know? But the commissioner had a real hard time with why I never left. And then he was looking for documents that weren't even there, like my commissioner in 2015 telling me to leave, and I was like, he never told me. And if he told me, then I probably would have did it right then and there. Because if you're going to tell me this is what's going to let me go, like, I was that zoned in at 2014 that if you would have told me, do this, and we'll let you out, like, I don't think there's nothing in my mind that would have kept me from doing it right then and there. Because I was that...
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
I was that committed to going home. I was like, I gave my whole life up. Like, I wanna be selfish right now. I want to go home. All I want to do is go home now, you know? And losing that board hearing, it made me go into a depression. It made me think every program I ever did was for nothing. It made me think my high school diploma, the AA degree, it was for nothing. Because you told me to do this, and I did it. And now you're saying you can't go home. And it's so confusing because they're telling me you're doing great. We love what you're doing. we see the change, we applaud it, but you just need to do more time. You're not there yet, and I can't comprehend that at the time. So I don't do nothing for a couple months, right? I go into a slump, and I'm trying to shake it off because I know in the future I'm gonna have to go to board again, right? But it's hard to just actually do it. It's easy to say it, but mentally, it felt like physically, like I couldn't pick up a pen and write. Like I just couldn't do it, you know. And at the same time, I'm continuing to do good things. At the same time, I'm continuing to get all kinds of things, self-help in here. I even started a group in High Desert. I started a group that was not ran before, and because of me, it will be ran every year. It's going to continuously run now. And it was a PI group, Personal Insight Exploration, right? And that group opened so many things up to me about remember about like domestic violence. Like if you ask me prior to that group, did domestic violence play a role in your household? I'll be like, hell no. Like my mom's never ever been hit by a guy in my presence. Like he couldn't even talk down to her, you know, because one time he had like a little, not even an argument, but like I didn't like his attitude, and I snapped, and my mom's like, calm down, what are you doing? And she's like getting in the middle, and I'm like, I will F you up, fool, if you ever try to get like that with my mom. Like, and she's all pissed off at me, and looking back, I was totally at fault, right? But that's how far I thought domestic violence existed in my household, because I'm like, no man has ever hit my sisters in front of me. Like, that would not happen. And then they start talking about the other things, like when your sister, in my case, when my sisters were like, be a man, and those kind of things I latched on to. And like, big boys don't cry, and like I know I was extreme, but those kind of things they help shape my image, and I'm the one that took it so far, and I'm the one that took it all crazy. But those kind of things did help shape my young brain, And so, anyways, I'm taking all these groups, and 2022, it flies, And I'm not saying it, but I have so much groups I've done, and so much good stuff. And then I have a job that is like, it's amazing. And I didn't know these jobs existed in prison. I did not know this kind of job I end up getting. I did not know that an inmate could feel so much empowerment behind prison, because I want to say something, guys. The jobs, when you're on GP, it's not like a job. You get a ducat, you go to work. Yeah, cool. You see that piece of metal, steal it, break it off, bring it back home. Like, that's all the job's good for, But after I went SNY, it's different. The jobs are different. I got in the kitchen, and in the kitchen, I started like as a table wiper. And it doesn't take long, guys, for them to see me and move me to one of the last spots of a cook. And it doesn't take long for them to see me and put me in the lead cook position. And I do all this under...
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
People might be like, oh, a year, yeah, that's plenty of time. But in prison, you get a lead cook spot. Those guys hold on to those positions for like 5 years. Here I am rushing up through the ranks, and I'm not even trying. I'm just doing me, And the work ethic, they see it. And out of nowhere, I get position, and you can imagine cooks that I'm passing up, they have an issue with that because they've been in there for years. And here I come in less than a year, and now I'm the lead cook. So just like in any job, if you race up too fast, you're going to have people look at you like, man, what's up with this fool? Like, I do this better, I do that better. But the good thing about it was, guys, I really kick butt. And even if they had some type of feeling about it, the kind of person I am, the personality I have, like, I'm sure they looked past it enough where I didn't really see it, I might have seen it when they first found out, but 2 weeks later, everyone was all smiles and cheers and everything again, because I just know how to treat people, and I know how to be a good friend outside of work, inside of work, and so when I get this new job, same thing. I'm there 3 months, and usually guys take like 4 years, long time. Maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe 3 years. But it takes a guy like 3 years to get where I got, and I did that in 3 months. And when I look at things like that, I'm like, that's God. Like, God loves me, and I've known that for a long time. And I got up there, and I got to be like a warehouse manager specialist, like a incoming, outgoing inventory specialist. I had to run logistics. I had to, there's so many things that came with that job, and it really gave me a responsibility, and I really started feeling good about myself. I really started feeling like I used to feel good about myself as a criminal because I was good at it, right?
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
I'm not doing nothing criminal no more. Now I'm doing everything the right way. And now I'm seeing the rewards of how you do things the right way, and I'm gaining self-esteem, and I'm like, man, I'm good at this. And the cops, here's another aspect when I call back. The cops are seeing this too. And I don't know they're looking like as deep as they're looking, but they're seeing me kick butt now. And even they are changing their perception of me. And some of these cops know me from my past. So when they see me and they see the transformation, they're kind of like awestruck too. They're kind of like, I would have never imagined. I would have never pictured that, And they do, and they get to see you live in the flesh as it's happening, and they feel some.
All right, so he should be calling us back shortly. As soon as he does, then he'll go ahead and continue on his journey. And if you're just tuning in now, we are going to be having back-to-back streams today. So as soon as this one ends, I believe I'm going to be having Javier on, and followed by Silas, and then it's going to be Jesse and David. So I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I gotta be I'm gonna be glued right here to the front of my screen and this chair and this microphone.
This call is now being recorded.
Es Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Joe Perez.
Un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
All right, Joe, I'm gonna let you do what you do the best and paint those ghetto Picassos.
Okay. So these cops are starting to see this, right? And they don't know everything I'm doing. So this job allowed me to go in anywhere I wanted, basically, in the prison. Not to the other yards, but to this specific yard. And now you're interacting with more COs. Hey, can I go speak to so-and-so? He's in this cell. What do you want with him? Oh, I got an application right here. And you don't give applications in prison. Everything's done by the cops. So his job's kind of different. This job, you got to go through an application process. You got to get vetted. They got to see if they even want you, And this job, I applied for it 2 times. Because the first time, I didn't get it, And again, I think that's God, right? Like I haven't been mentioning how much God's been in my life, but this is the perfect example. I applied for this, and I want it so bad, and I don't get it, and 3 other guys get the job, And I'm like, dang it. And I had like 7 guys campaigning for me to get the job. Well, whatever happened, I don't get it. Now, fast forward 3 months to the future, all them guys got fired. All those 3 individuals that got hired with a couple other individuals, you know, you got teams in this job. You got a shift, you know. So they ended up firing everybody. And in my mind, I can't help but think, dang, you dodged a bullet. Because not all those guys were at fault who got fired. But they're still going to get a write-up that's going to affect them when they go to board. So when that happened, guess what happens? Now they need new workers. And then they come double back on me and they get me up in there. If I would have got hired with the first shift, I would have had a 115 right now, which is a way of saying you would have been in trouble. And even though it wouldn't have been my fault, the board don't care about that. The board commissioners have no time to sit here and say, oh, we see it looks like you were innocent. Nah, that's not their job. Their job is like, you got a 115 and you're coming over here? Get out of here. That's how they are. That's how they work. That's how they operate. So when I look at that situation, I look at God just was like, nah, fool, I got you. Sit back this one because that's going to happen. And then you just slide in there. And then when I slid in there, 3 months in there, I get a promotion that everyone is like, dang, except for one of my coworkers because like he helped me get in there. And another person that we both know helped him help me get in there, right? And the job setting right there is very like political, like as far as a job on the streets, like them work politics kick in, right? So anyways, I got the job, and nobody thought they made a mistake after I was in there, and it was a hard thing to learn all that stuff, guys. But I did, and then after that, I felt like I was in a video game. I felt like I was a driver in a video game. They gave me so much responsibilities. I'm doing orders. I'm doing things that you wouldn't even think were allowed in prison. And it felt good, and the cops are seeing all this. So
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
I get closer to cops because of this, because you got to go through work change. So you get closer to that cop because you just talk to that fool every day. You clown him, he clowns you. And then other cops see that, and now they know they can let their guard down around you, and pretty soon it got so nice but so crazy at the same time that I'll go into the buildings and I'll talk hella crap to different CEOs, and we'll all be laughing right there, and they're in the office kicking it, and you're like at the door with like another inmate or two, and you're just roasting each other back and forth, and this kind of interactions. I'm not used to them. I'm not used to them at this time. But like I've always been a team player, so if my boy's doing it, then I might be quiet the first couple times, but then I'll jump in and do it too, And then, everything started developing, and that's where you have these conversations, because you get so like on a friendly basis that's where the conversations come out like, oh, I didn't view none of you fools as human, because we would sit down and sometimes we would talk and have some real deep conversations. Stuff that I wish was recorded because it could have been on a TED Talk or something, because these are guys that's been in this industry for years. They're like 27 years in. They're ready to retire. And they're giving you their perspective of things and how things turned out and why certain correctional officers are like this and why. And as they're saying it, from an inmate standpoint, you're grabbing it and you're like, oh, that makes perfect sense. And they'll be like, yeah, So I got a lot of good friendships out of there, and I don't know if I call them friendships, but they were okay, genuineness. I got a lot of genuineness out of there. because you could see those guys are being authentic and real. And one of them guys that I'm talking about, this is this OG CO, right? He was like a couple months away from retirement. Did all his life as a CO. When I had told him that I got denied, I meet him somewhere else where he don't know me. And I would remind him like, "Hey, you remember that?" And he'll be like, "Yeah, I remember you. I remember you saying that, and I remember me telling you da 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 da." And I'm like, "Yeah." And now he knows me. Now we spend time like every day with each other. You know, every day he was into my building. I'll go check up on him like, "What's up, fool? You good? You need anything?" Da 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 da. But we were so cool, and these other three inmates that were with me, we would all roll around together, all four of us, you know. And he was cool with all of us. I'll go check on him. And he was like, "Yeah, you know, you scare me." And I'll be like, "How so? You know, like how? All I'm doing is good." And he'll be like, "You did all that time over there. So if I was a board commissioner and you came just like me, you're saying you got denied and all that, but I would have did the same thing because I will be like, I just don't believe you. I don't believe you. Being a correctional officer all these years and knowing how things are, like if you just came and you said, hey guys, I'm good now, let me out, like I wouldn't believe that either. So I don't blame them for, you know, he brought a lot to my attention where I was like, you know what, I get it. You know, I get it now, you know? And it's more than just checking the boxes, guys. Like they need to know that you're not that person no more, you know? They need to know that if I let you out, you won't kill another human being. You know, there's guys that are not busted for murder, right? They're busted for whatever, and they have to go through the board process. Now, whatever you're busted for, when that board commissioner lets them out that are not busted for murder, the number one thing they think about is them committing murder. Because from a board aspect, it's like, okay, so you came in for drugs, is what you're telling me, and you got life because you sold drugs all your life, and eventually that gives you a life sentence. Okay, so if I let you out, like, what's to say you don't commit murder? And the guy might be like, well, I'm not busted for murder. I'm not. Okay, I get that. But eventually, if you're going down this road, eventually you might be put in a situation where you might commit the act. And you're already exposed to all these incarcerated individuals that have been in prison all this time. Your mind's already mingled with them. So when they release someone else that's not busted for murder, even they are thinking, like, do we let you go? Because we're not going to let you out if you will commit another murder. And those are the kind of things that you don't think about as an inmate. You don't think about how that's going, how that's running in their mind. You just don't see it. And now I'm at a point where I see it and I get it. And I can understand why they gave me the denial in the first place, you know? Because I couldn't even looking back, I grew so much from that point in my life till now. Like I couldn't even answer the question of what took you so long to leave? I'm over here saying, you know, that nobody tells you to leave, there's no posters on the wall, this and that. And it's like, yeah, we don't want to hear that. And obviously you don't even know the answer because you can't even say it. So they doubled back on that question 3 times in that hearing. And I couldn't even give them a clear answer because I didn't even know at the time. I didn't even know why it took me so long to leave. I just thought these are the cards I was dealt, and it just ended up turning out like that. And then I was even so real with them in that hearing, like I was like, I would have never left if he don't get cancer. You know, this wasn't an idea I had in my mind. This wasn't it was never in the mind. But when he got cancer, like it went to shit, you know, everything, you know, and then it forced me to take a hard look at my life and what I had been doing up until that point. And because I was faced with all that, I decided to leave, right? Because I was like, well, you know, you just ain't a man if you stay. You everything you're saying about you caring and all that is just out the window. It's just you're just a liar. You're a fake. You're everything. I used everything to go, and there's a bunch of other stuff I didn't mention that I used, like from a criminal standpoint, because it was so hard to do. But believe me, I it felt like I used a million things to take that step, because my whole life was against that step. It was like that's when you lose, you know. And in real life, like, you lose all the time. In real life, it's only one team that goes to the Super Bowl, and everyone else loses. So in prison, what you know, like it's funny when I look back at it now. But in prison, the thing is, like, you can never have one loss. You can never have one loss, or we'll define you as this. You know, people losing careers, people losing everything. But again, that warped sense of belief, that the beliefs you have, the ideas you have, they can be a bit unrealistic at times. You know, that's like saying Mike Tyson can never lose a fight. And when you do lose the fight, we will say you were never Mike Tyson again. We will erase you from the history books. Just like, picture the Army.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
Let's go back. Let's not picture the Army just yet, guys. I'm going to take you on a trip right now. And I'm going to call back so we can get a fresh 15 minutes so we could do it. I'll call right back, James.
All right. Hey, I want to go ahead and a big welcome to ICEMAN for tapping in. You know, he's out, enjoying the day with his granddaughter. Hey, that's huge right there. That's what it's all about right there. And for D, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll ask him right now. As soon as the call connects, I'll go ahead and ask him. I'll go ahead and ask him your question. I haven't read it yet, but I know it's a question. So as soon as we connect, I'll go ahead and ask him, and he'll go ahead and answer that question. All right, there he is.
This call is now being
Esta
recorded.
es Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Joe Perez.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Sentinella, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
Hello, Joe.
Hello.
Hey, so right now,
Yeah.
before you continue, we got a question from one of our supporters here, or viewers.
Okay.
The question is coming from D, and she's asking a question for Joe. Has the family of Angel ever reached out to him for closure, or has he?
This is the answer to that, and it's not only for me, guys. It's for every inmate in California. Now, I don't know how other prisons do it, but I only know how where I'm at does it, right? In California, you can't reach out to the victim's family. Now, pretend pretend I know James my whole life, and my family knows James our whole lives, and I end up murdering James. Now I'm not supposed to. Like there's like laws that um that say you can't do this, right? Victims' rights, stuff like that. So, but pretend that the scenario never happens, and I tell my mom, hey, can you go give James's mom this letter, right? And my mom will go take the letter to James's mom. I can't say those cases have never happened over here, because they have. I know specific people who have written to their to the victim's parents or the victim's brother, right? And in these cases, they're only cases where they were like best friends. Because we are so twisted in California with our belief system. And yeah, this word belief system, sometimes you kill your best friends out there, guys. And it's something I could never have done that. Like when I met this individual, I was like, that was your best friend, bro. Like in my mind, I'm like, I never told him like how I really felt. Like, dang, that's messed up, you know. But in my mind, I was like, I would have never did that. I would have took my best friend's side. And at the same time, I get his situation because he had his older cousins influencing everything. So he's like, yeah, that's my best friend, but these were my cousins, you know? So I completely get it. But in situations like his, you can get at the family members. But it's only because everybody was so close that all the family members know each other, right? In most cases, you don't know the victims you create. You don't know their family members like that, and there is no place in California where you could write them, right? Like when I went to board, the question came up like you know, how can we know you've done amends, you know? And I mentioned that I wrote letters, right? I mentioned all kinds of things, but I mentioned I wrote letters. And the mother was like, I haven't seen none of that, but I want to. So because she requested that, I do believe they will help her. They will help what I wrote get to a place where she could read it, get to her hands, get somewhere, because I believe it's all on a computer now. So I don't even think she can physically touch the letter. I think it's more like will come through the forms of like an email or something like that, right? But the commissioners and everyone, they kind of say at that point to the next of kin or to the family, they kind of say like, hey, the reason you haven't seen that is because we don't allow them to get at you. We don't allow that kind of stuff. But if you want to, we will. And we'll get it to you. And, you know, maybe that goes through the district attorney. I'm not sure how that process works. But for the sake of the question, we are not allowed to do that. And most incarcerated individuals don't even know, like, the address, where to write, or nothing like that. And I don't think that's a bad thing when you look at it in society, because we're so twisted. Like, what if you're trying to send somebody over there and say, hey, don't testify, or say, so, I mean, there has to be logical reasons why that's in place right there, right? And I think when I said that, it kind of makes sense to people like, oh, yeah, heck no, I won't want them having my address, you know? And, but I, you know, the amends process for even the next of kin, at least for me, in my case, that don't start until we start going to board, because prior to that, we're like invisible to them too. I mean, they're dealing with the pain and they're dealing with the hurt that we left them, but we're kind of invisible to them until we show up all these years later, going to board. And I'm sure that's a hard thing.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
I'm sure that has to be an extremely hard thing to go through as a family member, you know? So if you think I missed anything, James, on that, you can come in and or if she added any comments, you know. But I think I answered the question.
No, you got it, man. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I know you. Before our call got disconnected, you were about to, bring something else up. So hopefully, that's still fresh in your mind, and that didn't derail you.
Oh yeah, no, I forgot about everything. But when you said it right now, it came back in. I was talking about the Army, right? I was talking about no mistakes. I was talking about Mike Tyson can never lose a fight. Conor McGregor loses a fight and we'll erase him from the history books. That's what I was talking about, right? And I was saying that it's like, when you're thinking like that, when I look back and I think like that, I'm like, that's unrealistic, bro. Like, you can't, like, it's just unrealistic, right? So then I was like, think about the armies. Because this is what we do. We're so, like mimic militants, that this is what we do too. So everybody knows America. And everybody knows Christopher Columbus, and everybody, maybe not everybody knows Cortez, but here's a history lesson in case you guys don't, right? European, Spaniard, like they come over, and they come to America, and this isn't called America yet, and they see this beautiful land with what I picture as beautiful people. Dark skin, black hair, like these are my people, And I got more red hair in my mustache than black, but I still identify with the people that were over here, right? They're just living in the jungle. They got these pyramids. They're beautiful. They're amazing. And then here come these invaders. And they say, you know what? These people are dumb. They let us walk into their land. They gave us a roadmap to victory. Because they're like on some other trip, right? And they pull it off. They do a takeover. Now I'm not going to get into details about the takeover and none of that stuff, but long story short, in history will tell us they took over. And when they take over, what's the first thing they try to do, right? They try to erase the history. That's why Mexicans don't talk Nahua. That's why we don't speak with our native tongue. That's why we speak Spanish now. Because they came and they were like, no, you ain't even going to talk like that no more. You talk like that, you're dead. Like, we will wash you out of existence. If you don't conform, if you don't believe in this, if you don't believe in that. So the point I'm trying to make is that they try to erase the past, like vanish it. And, no one talks about these things, so I might be losing the crowd right here. I might be losing the audience, but there's things you could never erase. And this is one of them. Hey, Sally, what's that drink called? Atole? Atol? The rice, it's called atol, huh? Arroz con leche? Yeah, arroz con leche. What's it called? Atol? No, that's what it's called, arroz con leche. But what's the other word for it? Atole? Yeah, it's called atole. Okay, this is one of the words that you can't predict what's going to survive or what's going to be kept in, what's going to erase forever. Atole is a drink. And, back in Tehachapi when I was studying all this stuff, I think atole is water. I think. Don't quote me, it's been years. But I think atole is water. And we use it today. That word survived. And we use it as rice, arroz con leche, right, when we make that drink. Haz un atole, So that word, despite everybody trying to erase the culture of what it was and the language, that word lived. Sochi is a word, a name. There's beautiful girls out there with that name right now. Sochi, right? I believe that word also existed from those times. 1500s, 1400s, 1300s, right? There's another word. And chichi. So when most Mexican babies or Latino babies or Hispanic babies, whatever you want to identify as or not identify as, the baby will be like chichi, chichi. And what the baby's saying is they want breast milk, right? So I have heard people say chichi means a dog in Nahua, but there's different dialects of Nahua. And I've also believed that chichi means milk. So because it meant milk, like you can take away everything from everything. But the baby ain't listening to you. And throughout generations and generations and generations, that word chichi is still there. At least I believe it's still there. It was still there when I was out. Babies would be like that all the time. Chichi, chichi. They want to get fed, And now let's fast forward real quick and go to the army. And let's go to two armies. Let's go to two wars real quick. Let's go to Vietnam. We go to Vietnam and we don't win, bro. But we will paint the picture like we won because you're trying to write history. So that didn't happen. You know what else didn't happen? We didn't change nothing in Vietnam. We didn't tell their story. We might have came back and told a story, but we didn't tell their story. So whatever they had, if it wasn't destroyed, their people will rebuild and do all that. Now fast forward to 9/11. Fast forward to Bin Laden. Fast forward to when it turns to Saddam and Saddam's sons. Now, I'm not saying Saddam and his kids, I'm not saying they were good people. This is not what I'm talking about right here, guys. What I'm talking about is after they get the sons and they get Saddam, after the army gets them, what's the first thing they do? Well, it might have not been the first thing because I could picture them stealing, as I said that, I could picture them stealing all kinds of goodies that are going to be expensive when they come back home. But after that stealing, after that thievery, right, because we're all human, what's the first thing they do? They take down Saddam's statues. They take down all his pictures because now they're trying to erase him from existence. And I'm saying all this because it started off with you can never lose a fight. You can't lose ever.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
So as a criminal, that was always the thought process. You can.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
And if you go like to a 50-50, a non-designated, a SNY, like you lost, And now I know some people are trying to say like, oh no, I'm good, I'm good. Believe me, I've been on yards with people like that. Like I believe me, but that was always a loss. And if you ever lose like that, like the first thing we do, going back to the girl, if someone had her address and they're like, oh, I got the homie's address, well get at her, fool, and fucking, smut him up and do all that because you're trying to. That guy's no longer part. That guy's no longer part of your army. So you're trying to erase his existence. And even I would do this all the time. Like you might have a rider ass fool, and I'll be like, don't even speak his name no more, bro, because you're giving that man energy. Like why?
All right, so here we are. Waiting for the next call to come in, and as soon as he calls back in, then he'll go ahead and continue with his journey. Shout out to Chris, for dropping that comment right there. That would be Ricky Black's nephew. If you haven't tapped into Ricky Black's story, you definitely want to go check it out, and you would do that by going under playlist, and everybody is pretty much you just look for their name, and then you could go through their whole series and their whole journey.
call is now being
Esta es
recorded.
Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Joe Perez.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
Hello, Joe.
Hello?
All right, you're on.
Yeah. Okay, James, question. Because I don't know how that sounded from a person out there. So did I make any sense when I'm trying to display, like, wipe the existence out? Did you kind of get what I'm saying? And I'm only asking because I'm trying to see if the viewers got it, you know?
I got it, and actually I wanted to throw some 2 cents in right there, because I'm sure like a lot of people don't think about that, when colonizers, came in and invaded the Americas and took over and whatnot. And I have a word for you, and I'm not sure, if it's known like this in the Mexican culture. So my mom's Salvadorian, all right, and when you get a knot in your head, we don't call it a knot, because obviously knot is in English, but my mom, she used to call it a chindondo. And then, as I got older, I was like, man, that word sounds funny. But now, when you start reading stuff and you start, figuring stuff out, you figure out that that's a word that, came from our the indigenous people of the country that my mom came from. Those were one of the words that survived. And so it's just a trip. I know a lot of people don't think about that, and some of these words sound funny, but I mean, that's part of our culture. The small amount of words that survived, when these things went down, and nobody ever thinks about that. So that's definitely a gem that you shared with us today, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I don't know where we got it from, so I can only associate it to the things that I see as I grow up, and the Army does that. Like a country that invades another country, they will take their flags down and they will put their flags up, and they will try to rewrite history. They will try to. So in essence, whoever wins the war tells the history of it. And then you will have to do some deep diving research to find out other things about it. But that's generally how it goes. At least to my understanding of the world and how it works. I mean, I grew up in prison. What do I know?
But now, when events like that happen now, at least, we have, ways to document it now, whether it would be the internet, videos. It's not like back in the Stone Age where
that's true.
Where you probably wrote
that's
writing
true.
on a tablet, and I'm not talking about a phone tablet or a device, it actually on a stone, or on a wall, or writing hieroglyphs. So now, with that, with those things happening nowadays, there's still a way of actually being able to keep it, keep a record of these things taking place and of what the events that are unfolding in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. You're right. Like the cell phones changed so much. And to me, they're.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
They open up business opportunities. They open up careers. They open up so much stuff to me that I absolutely love them.
And even now, like even with like, let's say like this, even like a few years ago, what we're doing right now would have been a little bit harder, and with the introduction of tablets. It's making it it's making it a lot easier, because we'll sit here on the phone and we could conversate for an hour, 2 hours, maybe even sometimes 3 hours, and in the past this would have not been possible unless you would have had a illegal obtain cell phone, a contraband cell phone, or it would have taken months, maybe even years, to go through your story, just because it would have been 15 minutes at a time. And I don't think like at that time, when you had to use the phone on the wall, there's people that sign up before you and after you, right? So it's not like you could sit there and,
you share it.
Yeah, you would share it. So now with technology, it makes everything a a lot easier. And with the upcoming days and weeks, that we're definitely gonna be, showcasing that here on this YouTube channel.
Yeah.
How easily, it's easy for us now. The calls are free. You have a tablet, and the possibilities are endless now.
Yeah, endless. And absolutely, James. Absolutely endless. I'm excited about everything.
Man, you and me. I was telling my wife today, man. I was like a kid in a candy store today when I was talking to my wife. And she's
Yeah.
probably thinking what is this fool thinking about? What is he jumping about joy over here? It's like, well, she's just talking to dudes in prison. Ain't nothing special about that. But I see it different.
Yeah.
It's like, you guys get to show your journeys, and with people that normally you wouldn't have contact with, and then it's interactive here. So if somebody has a question, they could drop it on the chat. Even if they want to call in, they have that option of calling in, and touching in, or contacting us like that. So I just love this.
And you
Go ahead.
and you know what? I appreciate that question. I appreciate that question that happened. I believe it was D
Yeah.
that asked the question, and I appreciate it because it's talking about like the victim's family, because as I'm sharing the story, I don't want nothing to be lost on their part, and it shouldn't be lost on anybody that's speaking on this podcast, right? Like, I would think they should be at the forefront, and maybe not involved because it's too hard, right? But just that question alone, it's I love that dialogue, because it's about them. And it opens up minds too, because maybe someone else was going through something, and maybe they never got no apology letter. Maybe they never got no closure, and they're sitting there and they run across the podcast, and they're like, "Well, how come I never got that?" And it's like, oh, "Okay, I get it now. They're not allowed to do that." So maybe that helps them feel a little bit better. Maybe it does something, but if it does anything in a positive way, that's something I'm all for,
That makes two of us, yeah. So, I wanna, and one of the reasons that I did start this is just to show, like that you guys at the end of the day, you guys have done some, heinous, crimes, and affected, yourselves, your families, and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I think some of you are definitely, redeemable. And I want to showcase that on here. I think when it comes to prison, there's a lot more that prison has to offer than what's putting out there, and we could see that now with the programs, the rehabilitation programs that the CDCR is offering now. It's just totally up to the individual whether they're gonna utilize that and take advantage of everything that's being offered to you guys. There's workshops, self-help programs,
Self-help.
and then also school. You can even enroll in, if you're dedicated, and you could also come out of there with degrees, 1, 2, 3 degrees. The possibilities are endless depending on how much time you have, and whether you're willing to to put that effort to actually obtain these things that are being offered to you. So I know if I was there, I'll be trying to take advantage as much as I could, because I'm not trying to come out worse than what I went in. What's the point of that?
Yeah.
There's no life in
Yeah.
that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that what you said, like, keep in mind back in 2014 when they introduced the hope, and that hope of knowing I'm going to get out, right? Because now I know I'm going to get out. I know me good enough to know I will not lose. Like, I will not lose, right? And I just don't know how I'm going to get out yet. Like, there's no roadmap yet. It's just like, hey, we're going to make a road, and it's going in the middle of nowhere, but somewhere down there you're going to win, right? So in 2014, like, I commit, bro, and there's still a lot of stuff wrong with me, but I know I'm committing. And that hope made me confront the guy that told on me that I had blamed at that point and all during that point for my incarceration, because right there I'm not taking responsibility. But it still forced me to think about that. And it forced me to ultimately come out with the right decision of like, no, this was your fault and you let that go.
And you know what? I think that's huge right there. That you mentioned that you blame, somebody, telling on you. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you don't want anybody telling on you. But at the end of the day, that person didn't put you in that predicament. You put your own self, in that predicament. So, the blame, lies within the person that committed this crime. If you weren't out there committing the crime, then you wouldn't have had given anybody else the opportunity to have the control over you to tell on you.
Yeah. Yeah, and as inmates, we hinder our growth. Because remember, I told you, like in the county jail and in prisons, like you share paperwork and everyone's looking at it, and nobody's saying, like, dang, bro, I feel bad for this person that you murdered. No one inmate is saying that. Now maybe we've grown in time, and maybe they do start saying stuff like that now in the county jail. I don't know. But I know when I was coming through, nobody said that in prison either. They're just like, dang, fool, like, they picked the wrong one, huh? And you're like, yeah, they picked the wrong one. And it's just constantly feeding a negative, you're feeding the other guy's negativeness, he's feeding yours. Everyone's feeding everyone's negativeness, right? And nobody is stopping to say, like, hey, we did something wrong here, guys. Nobody's saying that. Everybody's looking at it like, oh, you did the right thing. Oh, I would have did the same thing. And there is no account.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
There is no accountability moving forward because you can't even see that you did it wrong. And there is no older peer inmate telling you did it wrong. Now, I can tell you from where I'm at now, I tell guys all the time, like, if they're stuck in that stance, like, I make them see the light real quick. And they, you would be surprised, but they get it. Like, when I talk to people and I'll explain something, they get it quickly. It's just that nobody talk to us that way. And I think if you talk to a young person that way now and he gets it, that's the faster he starts taking rehabilitation. That's the faster he goes into self-help. That's the faster he gets his degrees. That's the faster he changes. And he says, I no longer want to be that guy because that guy had it messed up. That guy was taught wrong. That guy latched on to all the wrong things. And now here's a chance to look yourself in the mirror and say, do you want to continue living this life? Because for years we didn't even have that mirror looking back at us. We were just running, and we were running negatively. So I think that's huge.
And then she just wrote a message here for you. She said, "Thank you for answering the question, Joe. That makes sense. I asked because when you speak of her, he's very remorseful, and maybe that's was a step he has already taken."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no other way I could say that. I am remorseful, and that was a huge part of changing, right? Someone taught me, and I don't know what group, if any group, taught me, but someone taught me in the later years of prison, like, if you are really sorry for something you did, then you change it. Then you change the behavior, right? So if I'm with a woman and I cheat on her, and she catches me, somehow, some way I get caught, and I'm like, oh baby, I'm sorry.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
I'm like, oh baby, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean that. Like, whatever excuse I'm gonna say, right? Like, I'm not well versed in these kind of excuses, right? But whatever kind of excuse a man will say, they say it and then they get over it, and the girl don't leave him, right? And she's with him. and then he cheats again in the future, right? And she's like, hey, you know, she's gonna be a woman. She's gonna go off on bro, and he's gonna be like, oh baby, I'm sorry, like I love you, like whatever he's saying, right? And it works, and she keeps taking him back. Like, how sorry is he if he keeps cheating on her? And that's what I had to come to realize, right? Somebody opened my eyes to that, and I was like, dang, you're right. Like, I'm saying I'm sorry. I'm saying I'm sorry for this. I'm saying this and that. Well, where's the proof in the pudding?
All right, so his 15 minutes were up. This is going to be our last call right now because I do have another pending call at noon or about noon. Hopefully, you know, I get received that call. But I'll go and let him know as soon as we connect right now that this will be it for us. Well, at least for me and him right now. But I do have some other people that I do have, you know, coming on. And they're going to... well,
This call is now being
Este es
recorded.
Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Joe Perez.
un preso recluido en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
hello, Joe.
Hello?
All right. So,
Yeah.
just want to give you a heads up. You know, we're so right now for this call we'll do like about 10 minutes, so like I could go ahead and have some time, you know, to get ready for the upcoming call, and
Okay.
like that you're not cut off guard. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a 10 minutes to our call right now, and then and I know you gotta get ready
Okay.
to you know, hit that yarda.
Yard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, what I was saying was, like, if you're really sorry, you stop cheating, right? Because you feel that like for me, I felt that guilty for doing this, and that guilt was not there my whole term, guys. It was not there. Definitely not there at the point of the 2008 economy. That's when it first kicks in, right? But it's short-lived. It's what, a day or two I feel bad, and then I sink right back in to the lifestyle, right? It wasn't but that was the awakening. That was the first time I thought about her, right? And that's the first time I thought about her missing life, about everything I had done wrong, right? And maybe I'm not even thinking about everything I had done wrong, but at least I wake up to see I did wrong right there, right? And it's years later when it starts adding, and the guilt starts getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And then someone had to teach me, like, if you're really sorry, then there will be changed behavior. And I hope I did a good job with the guy and the girl and the cheating. But picture a mom and a kid, a mom and her daughter, or a mom and her son, and she hits them with the belt. And I know most people don't do that now, but before they used to. And they hit their kid, and then they're like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry." Like the belt left a mark, and the baby's crying, right? Or the child is crying. Now, if the parent is really sorry, like, that will never happen again. There is no way they could ever hurt their kid like that again. But if they just say they're sorry and they're not really sorry, then those hits keep coming to the child. And so when I was exposed to this saying, I took it as truth. And because I took it as truth, I was like, you're right. Like, if I'm saying I'm sorry and I'm still doing the same things, or I'm still thinking the same way, then how sorry can I be? And that's part of recovery, guys. That's part of rehabilitation. That's part of you growing as a human being. At least for me, it was part of me growing as a human and saying, like, wow, okay, now I know. and now I have to rewire everything under this hood because I'm over here, and this is after I thought I changed, right? So in 2014, when they say, "Hey, you guys get out," I'm all in. I'm like, I'm a changed man. But there was more to it than just saying I'm a changed man. Like you got to go under the hood, and you gotta repair things. And I might have had a nice car, like from the outside looking in, it's nice. But if you lift up this hood, this motor don't even belong in here, and the transmission is about to crack. Like there's no other ways about it. Like everything, I need to pull everything out and start from scratch. And let's order a blank motor. Let's order this. Now, I still grew up how I grew up, and I'm still always going to have, I don't know what to call it, like the knowledge of how I grew up and the things that did it. But now at least I get to pinpoint and say that's where I went wrong right here. And this kind of thinking did it. And this kind of thinking made this kind of thinking a reality. And so you got to, for me, in my life, I had to redo everything and like try to fix everything from scratch, and teach myself again because I was like, well, this teaching was, it's what got me in here, and I'm going to get out one day and I'm never going to hurt nobody again. And now you got to put protective factors in there. You got to put all kinds of stuff in there. But what I'm saying is every time I learn something, I apply it. And it just makes me that much stronger for it, Like even I didn't even talk about the transfer here, guys, but I will on the next episode. But for now, I want to get James back on so we could just thank the audience and I know I didn't say nothing all crazy and nice this time, but not all of them are gonna be super spectacular sessions, But I do love that girl asked that question because, like, if anybody of Angel's family tuned in, and they didn't know it prior, I would like them to know it now, James?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. I thought you were
Okay,
gonna.
okay, it's okay.
I thought you were gonna say something else.
You thought I was going to continue.
Yeah. But
I can't continue. I can't continue, James, because I have to hold a cup under these eyes. Like
that's
that guilt is strong.
No, yeah, no, I could definitely hear it. It's but this is like the whole point of what we're doing here. It's to to shed light on these type of situations. I mean, it's horrible, horrible, situation that you put yourself in, you put your family in, you put the victim's family in, and then ultimately, the victim, that this whole situation that you're in. But life continues. Life doesn't stop. It keeps on going. Yeah, obviously you've been put on a huge timeout. You've been in prison for decades, and this is something that you gotta carry with yourself for the rest of your life, and your family and everybody involved. Has to carry this for the rest of their lives. And I know a lot of the times people put up this persona like it doesn't affect them, but everybody shows it differently.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
In your case, you're not
I'm not trying to. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible on this show, at least for me and how I feel. Like there is very genuine remorse in my case, and I feel it, And if I feel it, it's gonna come out because I'm not gonna hide anything from anybody,
Yeah, and that's what I want to say. Yeah, you don't want to mask it, and you're not trying to hide it, and it's not like that. You don't want the audience to hear you. And I think that's what adds. It's sincerity. We see the sincerity. Coming from your voice. So
yeah.
So yeah, no, I definitely I appreciate you coming in, coming on day after day. I think we've been talking about like 2-3 weeks now. It doesn't even feel like it's been that
I don't
long.
know.
But
Yeah, you got the first one. You got to have some kind of date on that bad boy, but I don't know. I get lost in the sauce, you know.
yeah, you do, I do too.
Yeah.
But but yeah, no, definitely, definitely, appreciate, you coming in and sharing it and I look forward, every day that we have these conversations, day after day, because I think that offer some type of value, whether it's somebody that's at risk, if somebody has been in some type of situation like this, whether they have had a family member, have they've been victimized. So maybe they,
Yeah.
from them hearing these conversations, it'll offer them some type of comfort, um, to kind of shed light on why travesties like this happen, day after
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Just to try to get into your mind and see what it was, what were you thinking at 15, 16, 17 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah. Well, I probably didn't do too good of a job portraying that, painting that picture, because I stayed away from a lot of things. But yeah, I was terrible. You know, no other way to say it.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Just because the things that you're missing are probably things that are really that people could get from other channels.
Okay.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So you're not missing it.
Yeah, I do. I get that.
It's out there. If that's what they want,
Yeah.
they'll definitely be able to find it. There's a
Yeah.
community for everything. So here I rather
Yeah.
I prefer to stay away from those things, just because
Yeah.
I'm not
No, absolutely.
I'm not trying to open up Pandora's box.
Right here, you get to look in my soul, people. That's what you get right here.
Yep.
It's a talking diary.
All right. And with that being
Yeah.
said, I'm gonna go ahead and go through the shout outs here. We're gonna go ahead and do the collect call from
Yeah.
roll call, and it's gonna be first up. It's gonna be a ICEMAN, Fish Slayer SoCal, Lifestyles Chronicles, Richard de Colorado, Mad Max 408, and M Star Media. Can you talk? I got a call really quick. I'm gonna pick up.
Okay.
Oh no,
If
sorry,
our
sorry.
media, that is okay. Cool.
Sorry.
Take over.
Yeah, sorry. Marlene, LBCK 15, Righteous Monkey, Richard, called Richard out. Biddy K from the UK, drew.p.huevos, Amy, Manny C, LA Analyst, Aquatic Amigo, Angel de 805, Jerry Eastwood, Tony Yayo, Too Valid 123, 1967 Kid _ Puerto Rican flag, Diggler Bolden, Brew Swillus, LastChanceHomie, August M, Frank, Patrick R, also known as Ramon, Lex Luth, Randy R, Wendy M, Leticia V, Felipe Navarro from El Paso. Every time I say Felipe Navarro, man, I enjoy it, just saying El Paso. LoadsofBotox, Daniel Garcia, and Gyro Lamb, Vince Moreno.
Okay, I love that roll call, man. And you know what? There's some names out there, man, that I cannot get over. M-Star Media, you got a great handle, bro. Droopy Huevos, Bruce Willis, I love those, bro. And everybody have a good day out there.
That's right.
Yeah?
That's right. And you know what? I definitely gotta add D to that list right there. I'll make it a point to add her onto the list. Because she's been dropping comments on the chat, and also on after the streams go up. So really really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I said around here, life's like a candle. Once you blow it, it's lights out. And with that, we're out.
Bye-bye, everybody.